Welcome back for another episode of ACRP TV, our spotlight today on getting things back to normal after COVID. That's for patients and for practitioners and getting back on site, rolling up our sleeves, doing what we do best, which is work with patients and get clinical trials going. Remote monitoring, of course, has been an exciting thing that's been going on and been developing, and people have been using it more and more during this COVID time. But sometimes there's nothing like face-to-face, and it's really necessary. And we're lucky to have with us today Beth Bieze, who's an expert on this. She's the Associate Director for Clinical Project Management at Protrials. Beth, thank you so much for joining us on ACRP TV Day.
Thank you, Michael. Happy to do that.
Let's talk about what's going on out there. You and I are speaking. It's a little after Memorial Day. It's the end of May. Things are starting to unlock a little bit. It's looking promising in some areas of the country, a little more quickly than some others. But first, talk about what are you seeing out there in terms of people, patients and practitioners beginning to go back to sites?
Well, we're just starting to see sites open up again. It's very regionalized, really depends on where they're located, what kind of site they are, what kind of trial they're running, and really their comfort level in some cases, not only the state regulations, but how comfortable the site is and how prepared they are to start bringing patients back in and then start letting monitors come back in as well.
So let's talk about now, if you're in a position, if you're one of the fortunate who are a little further along dealing with this curve, and you are able to start having people come on site, both practitioners and patients. Talk to me a little bit about what you guys are doing to help relax everyone and ensure safety.
Well, we really want to make sure that they're prepared and that they have the necessary information in place. They understand the precautions they have to take. Obviously, they've done what they felt was best for their patients as COVID was going on. As far as the trials, they had options based on what type of trial it was. As far as drug delivery, the procedures, the FDA was very flexible in their guidelines to allow us to take care of our patients during that time. But now as they bring them back on, of course, patient safety is still paramount, and we all want to make sure we're keeping our patients safe while protecting data integrity. So we're just being supportive and encouraging them to do what they feel is best for their patients, and also not pushing the monitoring on them on site until they're ready to have it done, unless it's critical to patient safety at this point that we go out and monitor that data.
Do you think a year from now we're going to be back to where we were before COVID in the sense of some resistance to decentralized trials and remote monitoring, or do you think some of these new ideas and technologies are here to stay?
Oh, I definitely think they're here to stay. I think now that the sites have seen that they can do it, although I don't think they'll want to do it to the extent that they have been, because we are kind of forced to press the accelerator there. But now that we know we can do it in a larger extent than we have, the whole industry, the FDA has seen it, the sponsors have seen it, I think we're going to see it a lot more. And we've had the technology out there for a long time with e-consent and remote monitoring and all those different tools that we've been slow to accept it. But now we've seen that we really may need to adopt it a lot faster if we run into situations like this. And if we have those tools available, why not use them? Why not make it easier for people and ease that comfort level in cases like this? And, you know, who knows what might bring a storm, something where people can't get to sites, or we may need to employ these tools, even if it isn't a pandemic type situation.
All right, last question. I want to ask you about something I'm calling the comeback curve. What do you think in terms of the next, say, 6 months? Are clinical trials going to come rushing back? Is there going to be an overload of trials and not enough people to handle it? Or how do you think we're going to be able to deal with the amount of volume coming on? Or is it going to be a slow increase?
You know, that's really hard to say. I have to say, for Protrials personally, we have steadily been receiving bids this whole time through the pandemic, not just for COVID trials, but for all of the different types of trials that we do. So we haven't really seen that pipeline slow down. But I think as far as the practitioners, the couple of CRAs that have already gone back on site, and from what we've heard feedback from them, they are seeing less patients per day just as a precaution not to overload their sites. They're cautiously optimistic about the future. So I think it may slow down at least a little at first, especially recruitment. But as people get more comfortable, patients are more comfortable, I think we'll get back up to speed and be where we were and beyond, because people will see the need for clinical trials and clinical research so we can combat diseases like COVID-19.
Fantastic. I like ending on a note of optimism. We've been speaking here with Beth Bieze. She's the Associate Director for Clinical Project Management at Protrials. This has been another episode of ACRP TV, Spotlight On, and we're talking about trying to get back to normal during this crazy time. Beth, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Michael.